appointing the right person for the right job becomes a very important principle for the human resource department. Whenever we are designing a HR strategy, first we should understand what is the business's objectives and missions. So you can use this analysis to leverage your company's strengths in order to capitalize on opportunities in the market. Hello everyone, I am Purnima, faculty in the Department of Commerce and Management, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. I welcome you all to this session. In this session, we will be learning about the HR strategy or the human resource strategy. What is the meaning of human resource strategy? And also, what are the ways in which human resource strategy can be formulated? Now, let us understand what is the meaning of the word human resource strategy. So, a human resource strategy allows you to maximize the potential of your employees while aligning all HR activities so that they coincide with their organizational objectives. So, as we all know that human resource is one of the most important resource for any organization. So, it is the human resource which will take the organization to heights of success, and it is also the human resource which will be responsible for the downfall of any organization. So, whenever we are having a HR strategy, we should be very, very careful. So, appointing the right person for the right job becomes a very important principle for the human resource department. So, let us see what is the human resource here. The human resource strategy allows you to maximize the potential of your employees. So, first thing is we should know what is human resource. So, human resource is nothing but the staff which we are appointing for the organization. So, when we are appointing the staff for the organization, first thing is we have to do the manpower planning. Then after manpower planning, that is in this stage, we will have to assess what are the number of employees we need for the organization and what kind of employees we need and what is the qualification of each of the employee. So, all this we have to just decide, and then we have to plan what is the number of human resource we need for the organization. Then we will have to have a selection process, and then we appoint the people to the organization. Now, once the people are appointed to the organization, you should see that they don't remain stagnant in their position. You try to see that you build a career path for each of the employee so that they keep on growing in the organization. So, human resource development or the HR strategy should see that it will try to identify those people who are very good in their task, and we should try to see that they have a career growth in the organization. So, it allows you to maximize the potential of your employees while aligning the HR activities so that they coincide with your organizational objectives. So, in the long run, this human resource, whatever we have appointed, they should be working in tandem with the organizational objectives. So, learning how to analyze the skill of your workforce and forecast your company's needs will help you create an effective HR strategy and better reach your company's goals. So, we should know how to analyze the skill of the workforce. So, whenever we are appointing any staff to the organization, first thing is we have to have a selection test, and then we have another round of interview, and through the various tests we will be able to assess what kind of a skill the person has. And then next thing is you forecast your company's needs. So, what are the needs of the company? So, you just forecast the needs, and when we just align both of this, that is the potential skills of the employee along with the needs of the organization. So, this will help in building a good HR strategy. So, when you have a good HR strategy, you will be in a better position to reach the company's goals. Then, follow these steps to create an effective HR strategy. Now, what are the steps to be followed when we have to create a human resource strategy? The first thing is to understand your organization's objectives. Now, what is the objective of the organization? That is the first thing we have to understand. A good human resource strategy is closely linked to the organizational goals. So, it is important first to understand the business's objectives and mission. So, work closely with management or executives to articulate the company's short-term and long-term goals for growth. So, the company is always started with the vision, mission, and objectives. So, these three are the important steps. So, whenever a company is set up, it will be with the vision of the founder and he will have a mission and the objectives. So, whenever we are designing a HR strategy, first we should understand what is the business's objectives and missions. So, these two things become very, very important. So, what is the actual mission of the organization and what are the objectives? So, in order to understand what is the mission and objectives of the organization, the HR whoever are there, they have to work closely with the management or the executives. So, once they know exactly what is the mission and what is the objective of the organization, then they will be able to understand what are the short-term and long-term goals of the company. So, when we understand actually what are the short-term and long-term growths of the company, then we will be able to formulate a good HR strategy. Then, next one is evaluate your current capabilities. Now, how do we evaluate our current capabilities? Perform a skills inventory for every employee to determine which individuals are skilled in specific areas. This may help you better understand how your employees can contribute to the company's main objectives. It also helps you recognize your company's strengths, which you can use to craft a more specific and effective HR strategy. So, how do you just assess the capabilities of the employees? Here, perform a skills inventory for every employee. So, we have to maintain a skills inventory for every employee and then determine in which areas, in which individuals are skilled in specific areas. So, you make a note of all those individuals who are skilled in certain specified areas. So, in this way, we can understand how your employees can contribute to the main objectives. So, you make a list of all those persons who are skilled in certain areas and then how you can put them into the company's objectives. How you can help them contribute for the main objectives of the company. It also helps you recognize your company's strengths. So, a good HR can be your company's strength, so which you can use to craft a more specific and effective HR strategy. So, when you actually know the persons, you have identified the persons with skills, then you can be able to align them for the company's objectives, realization of the company's objectives, and in the long run, you can have a very good HR strategy. Then, next one is perform a SWOT analysis. So, as we all know the meaning of SWOT, that is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So, strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. So, these are the SWOT analysis. Now, what do we do a SWOT analysis? After evaluating individual employees, conduct a SWOT analysis, which is strategic planning technique used to identify organizational internal strengths, weaknesses, and external threats and opportunities. So, you can use this analysis to leverage your company's strengths in order to capitalize on opportunities in the market. So, once we are done with when we have an inventory of all the persons who are skilled in the organization, the next one is to perform a SWOT analysis. So after evaluating individual employees, conduct a SWOT analysis. So in the SWOT analysis, we will be able to know what is the internal strength of the company, what is the inherent weaknesses of the company, and also we will also know about the threats and opportunities. So you can use this analysis to leverage your company's strengths in order to capitalize on opportunities in the market. Additionally, by identifying threats and weaknesses, you can come up with a plan to overcome them or minimize their impact. So when we have knowledge of what is the threat and what is the weaknesses, so we should come up with a plan to minimize their impact. Then the next point is analyze your capabilities in comparison with SWOT analysis. So how do we analyze the capabilities in comparison with SWOT analysis? Evaluate your company's and specifically your team's ability to help you capitalize the opportunities and effectively manage the threats. Now, what are the ability of the team? What is the ability of the team? You just match it with the opportunities and threats. So, what is the actual strength of the team? Then you can see how you can make use of the ability to capitalize the opportunities and effectively manage the threats. So, identify ways that your company could better prepare employees to serve the goals of the organization. So, you should try to see how the employees will be ready to serve the goals of the organization. You should see that all the persons who have been employed by the company, they will be serving the company in such a way that the goals of the company can be easily realized. Then next one is assess your future HR needs. Now, what do we mean by future HR needs? Next, evaluate what you will need from employees in the future to capitalize on opportunities, minimize threats, and achieve company goals. You should be able to determine which new jobs you will need to fill. Then next one, which skills current employees will need to obtain to fill the new jobs. Then whether you are sufficiently utilizing the abilities of your current employees, whether your current HR professionals and the hiring practices they use can accommodate the necessary growth. So, assess your future HR needs. So, how do we assess the future HR needs? So, first thing is you will have to make a note of what you will need from your employees in order to capitalize the opportunities. So, there will be a lot of opportunities before the company. So, in order to capitalize the opportunities, you need certain skills from the employees. Now, you have to see that these employees are skilled enough to allow the company to take up the new project. So, and in other words, minimize the threat. Suppose there is any threat to the company. So, these skilled employees, they should be able to minimize the threats to the company. So, you should be able to determine which new jobs you will need to fill. Suppose you want to have making use of a new opportunity for the company. Then, what are the new positions you will be creating in the organization and what are the skills which you need for those positions? Then, which skills current employees will need to obtain to fill the new jobs? Now, suppose you don't want to hire new personnel for the company, then what are the skills the current personnel should have so that they will be able to fill up those posts, whether you are sufficiently utilizing the abilities of your current employees. Then the next is you have to have an analysis of what is the current abilities of the employees and whether the company is making use of the current abilities of the employees, whether your current HR professionals and the hiring practices they use accommodate the necessary growth. So then you have to have an analysis of what are the HR practices presently made by the company and whether they can accommodate the necessary growth of the persons already in the company. So all this we need to have an analysis. Then lastly, evaluate whether additional tools are necessary. So work with the informational technology department to do an audit of your company's hardware and software. Determine whether there are tools available that would enable your employees to do their jobs more effectively. So the last step in formulating the HR strategy is evaluate whether additional tools are necessary. So how do you evaluate? Work with the IT sector to do an audit of your company's hardware and software. So what is the company's hardware and what is the company's software, and determine whether the tools are available that would enable the employees to do the jobs more effectively. To see that we can have the all the necessary tools the employees have to do the work, perform their jobs effectively. So next step is implement your strategy. So after you have finished your analysis and completed your assessment of what you need, it's time to start expanding your workforce and developing the skills of your current employees to better meet the needs of the company. Implement your HR strategy by doing the following. So implement your strategy. So after you have finished your analysis and completed the assessment of what you need, it is time to start expanding your workforce. So once we are done with all the planning and etc., so then we have to start expanding our workforce. So how do we expand our workforce? By appointing new personnel to the organization. And next one is you develop the skills of the existing employees so that they will be able to meet the upcoming needs of the organization. So whatever the new project the company has undertaken, these present employees, you should try to equip them with the skills so that they will be in a better position to meet the demanding jobs of the new project. Then next is implement your HR strategy by doing the following. So how do we implement the strategy? First thing is recruiting applicants. Start searching for candidates who have the skills you have identified during the analysis phase. Now, how do we implement the HR strategy? Firstly, by recruitment. So how do we recruit them? You have to search for the candidates who have the skills. Then next one is organizing a selection process. Interviewing and identifying the right candidates is an essential component of the process. You will need to identify relevant questions and tests to evaluate candidates and their abilities. So, interviewing and identifying the right candidates is an essential component of the process. So, when we are hiring people, we should have an interview and we should also have an selection test so that we will be able to assess what is the exact knowledge the person has and also what kind of a personality he has. So you will need identify relevant questions and tests to evaluate candidates and their abilities. Then next step is hiring the candidates. After completing the necessary background check, extend offers to the most qualified candidates. So after doing all the background check and everything, then we have to extend offer to the most qualified candidates. Then next one is designing an onboarding program. So an employee onboarding program can employee retention and help new hires feel confident in their roles more quickly and improve. So when the next step is you have an orientation program where the employees can see that they will make them feel at home in the company. Next one is evaluate your process. So decide on a timeline after which you will review your progress and identify areas for improvement. Evaluate whether changes are helping further your company's growth. If you determine that your strategy isn't getting you closer to your objectives, identify the ways you could make the adjustment. So after implementing of the strategy, the last step is evaluate your process. So decide on a timeline after which you will review your progress and identify areas for improvement. So once we start implementing the strategy, then it is time for us to look back on what we have already done. So we have to just look back and then see, evaluate the process. So decide on a timeline after which you will review your progress and identify areas for improvement. Evaluate whether the changes are helping your company's growth. So we should understand that whatever changes we have made, it is helping in the growth of the company. So if you determine that your strategy is in getting you closer to your objectives, identify ways you could make the adjustment. Suppose you feel that the strategy is not working, then you should try to make those adjustments so that you get closer to your objectives. So with this, we come to the end of this session. Hope you have all followed. Thank you.